gave me a black kimono to put on. Then he told me where to sit. And then he said my face was too pink. Said it ruined the effect of the room.
Ugh, I've been sick there and then. That would have ruined his precious room.
But you persevered, Dee Dee, dear.
Yes, we had the tea ceremony. Took ages, I was gasping. I said, Dick, are we having that cup of tea or what? But there he was, bowing and scraping and grovelling on the floor.
Wouldn't do for me. I like quick brew.
Anyway, I was squatting, see, my legs went dead. So I stood up and I took this little lacquer table with me. He went so mad I thought he'd commit harry-carry. But instead he threw me out. What would I have done if I didn't have this place to come to? So easy to become homeless, isn't it? 1 minute you're in, the next you're out.
I know. This morning I had a large semi, a mature garden and a tool shed. And now here I am, dependent on the kindness of strangers.
Like me. My friend Enid wouldn't let me visit her after our bloke moved in. I walked the streets day and night. It's your job to walk the streets. You're a policewoman.
I can't even afford to rent a place now. Got all the court costs to pay. How much were they? I was too upset to take it in.
Couple of thou, I don't work cheap.
You're heartless, Julia.
I'm a prosecuting barrister. It's not my fault if Emily employed lazy Larry Didcot. He'd done no work on the case, he muddled his facts and he dozed off during vital evidence. I even caught him reading the latest Catherine Cookson during the judge's summing up.
I wish I'd had you on my side, Julia.
I don't do defence work, it doesn't suit my personality.
Your old personality, perhaps, but I think you've mellowed lately.
Yes, you have, Julia. Sometimes you're almost pleasant.
I'll go along with that. You haven't called me turnip head for ages. Do you mind if I put my feet in this bar?
Yes, I
Do you know, I was thinking, Julia, it was the bank's fault for not paying that standing order, wasn't it?
Yes, so invalidating your husband's insurance.
So eventually losing me the house. Could I sue the bank?
Oh, yes. But you'd need a bloody good barrister, though.
Do you know one?
Julia, do it. Prove to the world that you're a nice person. I'm sick of apologising for you.
What? Take on one of the big 5 banks?
Yes, David against Goliath.
Right against might, good against evil.
No.
Come on, put her head underwater.
You got mad for me? No, no! Oh, got soap in my eyes. Mummy, pass me the towel.
Not until you agree to represent poor Emily.
Oh, yes, all right, I'll do it. I agree to represent Emily.
Good girl.
Ha! I won't do it. I retract my former statement and you have no written evidence that I ever did say I would.
All right, yes, I'll do it. I agree to represent Emily.
You never stop working, Miss Dee Dee. Even in the bath.
It may not have it all, no carpet wall to wall, or look like the homes in magazines. It may not be spick and span, it may not have a man or other labor-saving machines. It may be in a mess, but nevertheless it's a refuge when the world falls apart at the sea.
And there'll be more laughs in the Refuge next Wednesday evening at the earlier time of 10:35.
Drama from Germany tomorrow with Burt Lancaster.
Life and business, that's what we're here for.
The powerful patriarch fights for control in Fathers and Sons.
For the past few days, there's been rumors and talk about a merger. And I want you to know, all of you, that I will oppose such a project with all the means at my disposal.
What's bothering you?
My grandfather wants me to study chemistry and then start work in the factory.
Personal and political struggles in Fathers and Sons tomorrow at 9 on 4.
Over on ITV in a few minutes, Muriel Gray hosts AIDS Update 88. Here on 4, we clock into the late shift. Tonight there's a raunchy and revealing look at the king of rock and roll, with a film about 1956, the year that Elvis exploded onto the scene. Then at 12:50 there's a film about Les Paul, his life and career, and in particular the famous Gibson guitar that he designed and perfected. with two surprise presenters. The Late Shift is next.
Number one, Bensons for beds. Number one for value. Number one for choice. Number one for service. Bensons for beds.
The nation's #1 bed sale. Thousands of beds, all the famous names, at prices that can't be beaten. And that's guaranteed.
We're number one, Bensons.
After dark, Tia Maria.
It's confusing looking for a job. At Brook Street, we aim to slot you into a better job.
Come to Winfields midweek and enter our free draw. We're giving away 15 colour TVs, one every day, Monday to Friday, plus thousands of offers in footwear, floor coverings and clothing, only at Winfields.
You know, power costs money. But sometimes the equation doesn't stack up. Over the top or what? So what about this new Renault? A bit more like it, yes? 5 million for a horse. Who's taking who for a ride?
The Renault 21 2-litre turbo.
More than enough power for quite enough money. Thank you.
There's more to life with Renault.
To flow, wherever metal moves against metal. To clean, lubricate and protect today's petrol, diesel and turbocharged engines demands an oil of superlative quality. Protect your engine with Esso Superlube, the striped protector. Quality at work.
Housing unit sale is now on, with sensational reductions and special offers that won't last forever.
This lady gave women drivers a bad name. With her customized set of wheels, she was a menace to other road users. Unfortunately, Baudelaire was not insured with anyone, let alone Eagle Star. And when the inevitable crash happened, she had to spend the rest of her life as a pedestrian. Don't follow in Baudelaires' footsteps. Ask your financial advisor or insurance broker about Eagle Star's motor insurance. Because with Eagle Star, you can face the future with confidence.
Well, now on 4, it's time for the Late Shift, and we welcome two new presenters, Doris Day and Perry Como.
Welcome to the Late Shift. I'm Doris Day.
I'm Perry Como. Well, tonight we have this really extremely wonderful film, Elvis 56, which personally turned me onto Elvis somewhat late in the day. Because, I mean, I always knew he was important and all that, but I never really saw what all the fuss was about till I saw this film, Elvis 56.
And this is only half of what we got for you, because the second film is about Les Paul, an inventor of all kinds of things, including which is a particular kind of electric guitar, which is played in the Elvis film by Scotty Moore, and how he plays it. So Elvis had made his great records, for me his great records, in 54 and 55, and moved to RCA Records in 56. But in this film we see him performing for a mass audience in America all his great numbers of the day with this little band of Scotty Moore on guitar, Bill Black on bass, and Elvis. And I didn't realise that, you know...
There was that much
no.
good stuff, you know.
And no wonder America went crazy when they saw this stuff.
Totally. Phew, what a
we kind of got it
what
sort
a
of...
voice, moves, footwork, nice footwork, knee bend.
So we got it second-hand. We got visits from just about everybody but Elvis. The great tragedy for English rock and roll fans was that Elvis never came to Britain. Can you believe that?
Brutal.
So here we get, late in the day, you know, the evidence of what an amazing original guy this was, mixing up gospel and country and blues, doing his favourite songs, many of them hits at the time. He just heard them and went in and did them. Shake, Rattle and Roll, I Got a Woman, all these things. He did, you know, they're like just instant reaction, reinterpreting them. Ooh, energy, pop, brilliant.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wasn't he one of the first white artists to do black musician stuff?
Certainly in a style anything like the way that black people did it.
And the interesting thing is then that, of course, the kind of the establishment, as it were, you know, the way they say white men, you know, supposedly frightened of supposed black men's superior potency, they treated Elvis just like that, and he was really castrated, you see, both by his manager and by the media and by various people. You know, they like not only cut him off below the waist on TV, they also cut him off musically later on by not letting him work with his key people.
Well, Americans, the media, especially based in Los Angeles and New York, has always had a very suspicious thing about Southerners. It sort of sees them as a bit slow and, you know, they don't understand how they're going to behave. And Elvis was the epitome of a Southern boy.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing for me that I got from this film, which I hadn't realised, is what a sweet boy he was. Like, you could see, obviously, very well brought up by his mother. Just the way he treats people, like that guy, Hy Gardner, who does a phone interview with him in the film. And it's so moving. You just see him there, and he's so bewildered. You know, he's getting all this flack, and he's just trying to do his music, and you can see all the conflict. When he says, I'm all mixed up, you know, you really feel for him.
And the manager, Colonel Tom Parker, I think decided soon after this that it wasn't necessarily good PR to allow people to see the real Elvis.
The vulnerable Elvis,
So
which really made him a man, as much as, you know, that's what makes him a man, not just him, you know, being able to...
The macho side, yeah.
Yes, not just the macho side, exactly.
So Parker took him out of circulation, landed him in Hollywood, and he spent the next, I don't know how many years, either in Hollywood or the American Army, but definitely not playing like we see him here.
And of course there's that fantastic moment in this film where you see him on the Steve Allen show, where they make him sing Hound Dog to a hound dog in a little top hat and tails. I mean, it's absolutely obscene, really.
Embarrassing.
And that was just the portent of things to come. And of course, it's great also, what really balances the whole film out, is when you actually see him do Hound Dog in the studio, and he insists, regardless of what the musicians say, he insists on doing 30 takes and finally selects number 28. But incidentally, that's another fascinating thing about the way this film is done, because I've never seen such brilliant rostrum camera work by Lucky Martucci off a bunch of stills that were taken for Time Life by Alfred Wertheimer. Because these are very eloquent stills, and, you know, they must have almost gone through the contact sheet and shot it in a really great camera moves. And you actually get the impression, because that's all the Hound Dog in the studio is, it's not footage, it's just stills, but it's so beautifully put together, you feel as if you're there and watching it as footage.
So, if you thought you knew everything there was to know about Elvis and had seen everything there was to see, you're in for a surprise, because you haven't. And if you didn't think there was anything worth knowing or seeing about Elvis, you're definitely in surprise, because there is. And here it is.
Yes.
Totally brilliant. Elvis in '56. And you can get most of the tracks on that on this LP called Elvis the 56 Sessions, taken from 4 sessions recorded in New York and Nashville, going from I Got a Sweetie in January to Hound Dog in July.
Must have.
All featuring Scotty Moore and his marvellous Les Paul guitar, and there's more from Les Paul after the break.
Last time you bought bacon, did you make sure it was Danish?
Now you see it, now you don't.
Or did you just take a gamble?
Yeah, take a chance. Everybody likes to gamble. Which one's the Danish? Could it be this one? Could it be that one? Round and round and round we go. Which is the Danish?
The only way to make sure you're getting Danish is to eat our words.
Carole, what you need is an alternative. Autumn Gold, the alternative paint.
If you're looking for a Fiat,
With this kind of space for the family, reliability, hatchback flexibility, and great economy. All with this unmistakable style. There's only one choice. The Fiat Uno, the most wanted small car in Europe, now comes with 0% finance and a free 3-year warranty.
Right. I'll swap you China for Tibet.
He's been collecting those new language of tea stickers.
India for Japan, then.
And they're free with every PG Tips pack.
How about the USA for Russia?
There's no other tea to beat PG. And there's a wall chart, too. All it costs is 40p for the postage and the packing. Details are on every sticker.
Holland. I suppose I could go Dutch with him.
Next.
This Friday, Teresa Russell and Art Garfunkel star in Nicholas Roeg's disturbing film, Bad Timing.
We're gonna meet. Might as well be now.
Could be right. Then again, why spoil the mystery?
Mystery?
If we don't meet, there's always the possibility it could have been perfect.
Victims of passion and desire.
There's nobody else. They're all in your head.
We are constantly in isolation, watching, spying on everyone and everything around us.
What is it you want?
Jealousy and despair takes them beyond the inevitable. Bad Timing, this Friday on Channel 4.
And after the dizzying heights of early Elvis Presley, we're now going to see something about the man who helped make that sound possible, to wit Les Paul, inventor extraordinaire, who I didn't realize. I mean, I'd heard of Les Paul. Who hasn't heard of Les Paul and the Gibson Les Paul? But I didn't realize that he seemed to have, did he really seem to have invented tracking, like 8-track, 16-track?
Yeah. Certainly he gives this impression in the
Is this a fact?
film. It could be. And having previously done it, as he describes, where he would record onto one record and then play that record and overdub something and get another record and all that. Yeah,
well, I suppose somebody had to do it, and Les Paul looks like the man for the job. Yeah. Charlie has a brilliant Les Paul story, which he'll tell you now.
It's the only one that I know about him that's not in the film itself. We don't want to spoil all the film. But he was a real perfectionist, as you'll see. And when he'd finished making his records, for everybody who finishes making a record in a studio, the trouble is that it sounds great in the studio, might even sound great at home, but how does it sound on the radio? That's what you want to know. Well, he set up a little transmitter in the studio so that when he finished making the record, he could put the record on his little radio station, run out, sit in the car, tune the car to his radio station and check it out. And the level of voice and guitar or guitars, because he did multi-tracking, is very, very crucial to the way he recorded. And he could go back in again and do it again if it wasn't right.
What a genius. And
Yeah.
not only that, the first studio that he built, I love the way he says you had to climb in through the window. It was so primitive. He's such a pioneer. In this film, he takes you through from building a crystal set on down. You know, it's deep.
So just so you know where he stands, the Gibson was one of the 3 main guitar manufacturers. The other one, which was equally big, was Fender, and the one that predated both of them was Rickenbacker. And those are the 3 magic names for every rock guitarist ever. And in the film, Mike Bloomfield talks about who played a Gibson. But one person he doesn't mention was Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry played a cherry red Gibson, I always remember that. And of course, Scotty Moore that we saw earlier. Still, let's tell you the story himself. Here he is.